Sandy Says Read. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do a new booktube tag, and this is one that I made up. So let me give you an intro right here, and then I'll put timestamps for all this stuff in the drop-down box below to make this easier to follow, hopefully. And let's get started. Okay, so this is a booktube tag that I've made up called the Books of Words Tag Series. It's going to be short. There's only 3 parts to this series, but this is the Books of Words. Because of course, books are full of words, right? But these are going to be some like positive words that I hope are going to inspire us to just think about books. Think about good, positive, happy, wonderful books, right? I've been inspired by Jim over at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff. The alphabet tag that he started over there, that originated over there at his channel, that tag, even though I've been kind of sporadic in the way I've been doing it, that tag has given me the opportunity to revisit books on my shelves, to revisit characters, to revisit stories. And that is, well, it's wonderful, okay? I hope that other people out there who've been doing the alphabet tag have enjoyed it as much as I have. It's a pleasure, right? It's a joy to revisit books on the shelves. And these books, they're like old friends, right? So when you get an opportunity to look something up in an old book, it's like visiting an old friend. I love it. It's great. So I'm hoping that with the Books of Words tag series, I can also encourage people to revisit old friends on the shelves. That's my hope here. So the first Books of Words tags in the series is the Thoughtful Words tag. So that's the one we're going to do today. It's going to be a little bit weird because you guys might know that the printer in my den is possessed. I don't know what it's possessed by, but it's possessed by something that won't let me print documents. Therefore, I could not print out these prompts to read to you. So they're going to be on my screen. So in a minute here, I'm going to be staring at the computer screen and reading the prompts from the screen. For this first tag. Now for the other 2, I might have the printout in front of me. Depends on whether or not we get an electrical storm in the middle of the night between now and when I film the other 2. That's typically when the printer will work. I've sent the document to spool, so hopefully we'll get a storm around 2 or 3 a.m. that will cause the printer to start working. All right, so let me stare at the screen so I can read the prompts and read my responses, and we'll get through this together. Okay, so the Thoughtful Words book tag is part 1 in our series. What I'm going to do is read you a word, talk about the prompts. We'll go from there. It'll be awesome. All right, the prompts. Prompt number 1, the word is catalyst. The catalyst, or inciting incident, gets the story moving. What's a book with a great hook or a memorable beginning? And I'm going to say To Sail Beyond the Sunset by Robert A. Heinlein. And I hope there's no glare on this. I can't tell because I can't see that part of the screen anymore. But I'm going to read you the very beginning, the very opening of this one, because it's just so good. All right. I woke up in bed with a man and a cat. The man was a stranger. The cat was not. I closed my eyes and tried to pull myself together, hook now to my memory of last night. No good. There wasn't any last night. My last clear memory was of being a passenger in a Burroughs irrelevant bus, bound for New Liverpool, when there was a loud bang. My head hit the seat in front of me. Then a lady handed me a baby, and we started filing out the starboard emergency exit, me with a cat in one arm and a baby in the other, and I saw a man with his right arm off. I gulped and opened my eyes. A stranger in my bed was better than a man bleeding to death from a stump where his right forearm ought to be. Had it been a nightmare? I fervently hoped so. If it was not, then what had I done with the baby? And whose baby was it? Maureen, this won't do. Mislaying a baby is inexcusable. Pixel, have you seen a baby? The cat stood mute, and a plea of not guilty was directed by the court. My father once told me that I was the only one of his daughters capable of sitting down in a church and finding that I had sat on a hot lemon meringue pie. Anyone else would have looked. I had looked, but my cousins Nelson... Oh, never mind. Regardless of lemon pies, bloody stumps, or missing babies, there was still this stranger in my bed. his bony back toward me, husbandly rather than loverly, but I did not recall marrying him. I've shared beds with men before, and with women, and wet babies, and cats who demand most of the bed, and once with a barbershop quartet. But I do like to know with whom I'm sleeping. Just an old-fashioned girl, that's me. So I said to the cat, "Pixel, who is he? Do we know him?" "No." "Well, let's check." I put a hand on the man's shoulder, intending to shake him awake, and then ask where we had met. Or had we? His shoulder was cold. He was quite dead. This is not a good way to start the day. Now, isn't that great? That is a catalyst. That's an awesome hook and opening to a book. All right, prompt number 2. 2 is foundation. A foundational or fundamental book could be a children's story or a young adult novel from your past. What's a book that you consider the introduction to your reading life? And I'm going to say The Mouse and the Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. I think this is the first chapter book I ever read. I think. But that one's foundational for me. Okay, prompt number 3 is nostalgia. Excuse me, sorry guys. I'm getting a little hoarse here. Nostalgia. We often enjoy those things that bring back memories. What's a book that inspired you to text an old friend, or look up an old TV show online, or write a note to a past teacher? And I'm going to say Talking to Girls About Duran Duran by Rob Sheffield. This one. Yep, I read this one, I would say, in the last 4 or 5 years I've read this one. And yeah, I was texting all kinds of things to my Durani friends when I was reading that one. That's a pretty good one for nostalgia. Prompt number 4 is quick. In today's world, we're often in a hurry. What's a short story or novella you've enjoyed that made such an impression on you that you can't get it out of your mind? Now, for quick, I'm going to say Ray Bradbury's All Summer in a Day. That short story, I think it was released in the science fiction and fantasy magazine, like back in the 50s, right? But I didn't get to read it till the 70s because I wasn't born until the 70s. But man, that story has stuck with me forever. Okay, prompt number 5, nature. We can't be always consumed by technology. What's a book, fiction or nonfiction, that inspired you with its message or its characters to go outside? Did the book have animals for characters or for companions? Or did the characters spend time camping or journeying through an outdoor world? Tell us. Okay, so for nature, I'm going to say any of the Patrick McManus books. That dude is hysterical. And his books about fishing and camping and hiking, excellent. Great books, great comedy. Okay, let's see. Prompt number 6, melancholy. Having a sense of melancholy is not necessarily a bad thing. It can give one time to relax and reflect. So what's a book that broke your heart and made you think deep thoughts? So I wrote down here, The Book Thief quite recently was one that really made me think deep thoughts, but I'm going to go with Alex and Me by Dr. Irene Pepperberg. This one is about Dr. Pepperberg and her relationship with Alex, the African gray parrot. I mean, they weren't just companions. They had to work together, right? I mean, Dr. Pepperberg was doing studies with Alex about the intelligence of parrots and African grays in particular. And boy, Alex was smart. He would make up his own words. He understood the concept of zero. I mean, he was a smart one, but he did pass away. He didn't get to live, the 80 years that some African grays get to live. And so it's kind of heartbreaking in some senses, but boy, was he smart and he had a sense of humor. I mean, that bird was great. Okay, so let's move on to prompt number 7, penultimate. What's your favorite or best second to last book in a trilogy or series? And why was it so good? This one was kind of hard to narrow down, but I went back to my childhood for this one. And I went back to These Happy Golden Years by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Okay, this one It's the second in the last of the series of the Little House on the Prairie books, right? Of the whole Little House series. I think the very last one in the series is about Laura and Almanzo's first 4 years of their life together as a married couple, and Rose being born, right? That's what that last book is. But this one, the second to last book, These Happy Golden Years, it really details their courtship. I mean, this is really that year, I guess the 2 years leading up to their marriage, leading up that whole courtship. And there's humor in this. It's nice. Anyway, so yeah, I went back to my childhood for that one. What's your favorite penultimate book in a series? That's prompt number 7. Prompt number 8 is restorative. We can all use something that brings us back to reading. So what's a book, fiction or nonfiction, that pulled you out of a reading slump or lit a fire in you for reading once again? And for me, that was The Anomaly by Michael Rutger. I was afraid I was going to say his name wrong. The Anomaly by Michael Rutger. This one is a thriller, and it was a Book of the Month Club book, right? In June of 2018, this was the Book of the Month. It came to me, and I think, I don't know how many hours it took me to read it, but I started reading and just read through the whole thing. Just nonstop, read through the whole thing that evening. It's awesome. It's great. It's, these researchers go into the Grand Canyon. They discover some primordial ooze type thing, and it was such a good book, and it was such a fast-paced read that it just relit the fire for reading again. And this BookTube channel took off from there. Yeah, so The Anomaly got me back into reading again, because I had been in quite the slump before then. So yeah, that was the one. Let's see that. Okay, so those were the 8 prompts for our first the Thoughtful Words installment of the Books of Words tag. But we've got a bonus prompt, and the bonus prompt is gift. What's a book you would give to a dear friend as a birthday or Christmas present, and why? You guys, other than my own books, a good gift, a book I would give as a gift is any of the Tolkien books that have been coming out lately. There are so many of these collector's editions and commemorative editions of different Tolkien books. They're in these gorgeous hardcovers with extra illustrations and extra commentaries inside. They're just wonderful. So many of them, the last few years, these things have been coming out. Any of those would make awesome good gifts, I believe, because Tolkien is always a good gift. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the Thoughtful Words installment of the Books of Words tag series that originated here at SandySaysRead. I encourage lots of y'all out there to participate in this tag. Let me lower this thing off my screen, take the prompts off there so I can make sure everything is still moving and doing what it's supposed to do. I encourage you guys to please participate in the tag, because it's very nice to get to go back and revisit these books. I mean, all of these books that I've just talked about right here, they were nice to get to go back and look at again. Especially These Happy Golden Years with Laura Ingalls. Oh my gosh, I hadn't looked back at any of the Little House books for quite some time, right? And it was just wonderful to get to look back at it. And I had opened it up to a scene with Laura and Almanzo and Nellie, all 3 of them on the baseboard of the wagon together, as Almanzo was taking Laura for a drive, but he had stopped and picked up Nellie first because she was just walking along the road and she looked sad and pathetic. That really happened, so he really did pick Nellie up and he really did bring her along for their Sunday drive, and Laura really was irritated by that. This just wonderful to get to revisit that and reread that scene and see Laura's precociousness and how she handled Nellie. Just lovely, right? Just fun. Good to revisit these books and play with this stuff. So I encourage you guys, please, if you wish, participate in the tag. There are 2 more of them coming. Hopefully as soon as my printer prints them off and makes this easier to do, we'll do those too. So enjoy the Thoughtful Words tag of the Books of Words tag series. And please thumbs up, because revisiting books is fun. It is good for the soul. And please click the bell notification icon so that you're notified each time I do something random, fun, and crazy here on this channel. Thank you so much for tuning in.